Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to finally the Italy album share. So I finished it. You will have seen, I guess fairly recently, a couple of extra layouts that I decided to do as I was going through the album, getting ready to share it with you. I found two layouts that I wanted to do, not really because they needed to be done, but because I didn't like what was on the back side of the pages in the pocket. So I don't mind a blank one like I have here, and this will probably just stay this way because I want these two pages to be side by side as opposed to back and front. But there were a couple of pages that I really didn't like what was on the back side, so I decided to do a couple of extra layouts. So this took me a little bit longer than planned and than I had said, but it is done, and it's one album complete, one unfinished project done. So yay. I will put the original video down below. I'll link it, or I'll put it up in one of those little card thingies where I went through this album with you, added the photos that were missing, got everything in place to complete it so that you can see sort of the before and the after. I'm also going to do the share in two sittings because I think it might be a little bit long and you might need an extra coffee or glass of wine if I did it all in one. So thank you for requesting, always asking me to do these fun album shares, because I love doing them as well. They're a beautiful walk down memory lane for me, both from the travel point of view and from the scrappy point of view as well. So this is one of the newer layouts. This is a little bit of a double page that I got done. This was for a Stretch the Sketch, and I was using a gorgeous Jen Hadfield, I believe it was the Avenue collection that I got, of course, from Scrapbook Your Joy. And in this case, I both shrunk the sketch and stretched it because it was a 12 by 12 sketch, so I shrunk it to fit an 8.5 by 11, and then stretched it and flipped it to make a double page. And I love it, a little bit of mixed media. And this is really the campground in Venice, which was on the mainland, and then how we would take the water bus across to Venice proper every day to visit. So this is just a little bit of the campground. I think I have on my desk the little cabin because I wasn't tent camping. It was like a little tiny cabin, which was really, really, really cute. This was the restaurant, and then going over to Venice. And I guess I really should do some journaling here, so that's probably what's going to happen there. Now, this was the first page to begin with, and I did this donkeys ages ago. You can see there's some lovely basic gray. I cut out this, I think I probably did during the class when I started scrapbooking in, I believe it was 2006. I took a class. I found a lovely local scrapbook shop here, only a couple of kilometers away from where I live, and that's where I met my lovely in real life friends, Anne-Marie and Ziane and Chantal, and of course that shop is no longer there, but I took a class to sort of get myself oriented for what I was calling modern day scrapbooking, and I definitely would have done that there because I don't think I have any kind of these types of letter dies, or maybe I do, but cut out 3 photos. And you can see here my journaling is in French. I go back and forth every once in a while. I do some in French, and I couldn't really tell you what sort of why I do one or the other. I guess it just depends on what I seem to be living more in at the moment. So this was, 2.5 days in Venice. The first evening, found a lovely, lovely little restaurant on the side of the canal and had some pizza, a glass of wine, and watched the gondolas go by. The next day, of course, was San Marco, the Rialto, and the markets. And then on the last day, just sort of walking around, and you're going to see that one of the things I really, really enjoyed was just walking around with no destination, just walking around all the residential areas in Venice. And I think I forgot to put here a lovely concert in a church that I attended one evening as well. So here you see beautiful, romantic, and musical Venice. Must be walked to be appreciated. And for an affordable stay, I rented a cabin in a campground on the mainland and took the boat bus into town. A unique experience. So August, and so Venise août 2005 in French, and then my journaling in English. Oh, that's me. Sometimes I think I'm one of those lucky people that really never had to learn either English or French. One side of my family was pretty much unilingual French, the other side unilingual English. Evidently my father is Irish, from Ireland, so I'm first generation Canadian, so that was all English. My mom is from Quebec, and she is bilingual, but everybody else was unilingual. So I've always spoken both. I learned both when I learned to speak, and I consider myself very, very lucky that I basically have two first languages. But sometimes it's funny because sometimes I catch myself going from one to the other without really noticing it. Or sometimes at the office when I'm with a customer and I go do some checking and I come back, I'll say, what language were we speaking? It's a unique little fun little problem. So living the dream makes me smile. This is a little bit of mixed media when I started doing the packaging technique, some flat back brads on here, sous les ponts de Venise, lots of lovely, lovely little bridges everywhere. Then this one, again, and again, I say, Venice, I mean, it has to be walked. You can't really do it any other way. And I mean, most people don't have cars, but rather have boats to get around. It's a very unique area, and I really, really enjoyed walking in the neighborhoods. I mean, obviously I enjoyed these areas too, a little bit more touristy, but I definitely really, really enjoyed walking in the neighborhoods. So little moments, happy, recorded. This is one of those clear stickers. And I just loved going off the beaten track. This is, obviously you can look at this one and you can tell that this is definitely Chanel inspired. And I think this lovely paper, this is so pretty. I don't remember. Now that's going to be the thing though. I'm not going to remember all of the collections. I did recognize the basic gray, but I'm not going to remember all of the gorgeous collections that I used here. I do remember these lovely wood veneer with enamel bits in them. That was from Pink Fresh Studio. That I do remember. Cork here from Spiegel Mom Scraps for sure. Then this is a fun little photo, just one evening walking around, and I say here, my day is always brighter when I meet a kitty or a puppy along the way. And this was just a fun little 8.5 by 11, and here I used my crimper. I did some distressing and some inking. First filling up my corners. So there you go. I don't know, because I think I did this quite a while ago. So I don't remember whether this might have been a sketch, but there you go, Helen. You see, every once in a while, even in the earlier days, I was getting some sides and corners filled. Yay. And this cute, cute, cute little ginger kitty. And then you can see here, this is one of the layouts that I did just recently because I did not like the way this layout was on the back. So I decided to do another 8.5 by 11, which, as I mentioned when I did it, this was a May I Scrap With You, so I did this very, very recently using some lovely page kits. It was for the Build-A-Page that I'm doing with my lovely friend Christy and my other lovely friend Kristen from Kristen Crafts. And this was, I think, day one, actually, the first layout I did with those lovely page kits. And as I mentioned, it was not necessary to the story, but I thought it did add something. And this is coming in with, I guess, the boat bus into San Marco before getting into the pages about actually being on the piazza and the plaza at the time. And this was a lovely little rosette from Panduro, which either Karen, who I am scraplifting here, my lovely friend Karen, who I'm scraplifting here, or Karina sent me. And this is a very old bit that I dug out of my stash from the very first and only Freckled Fawn mixed media little kit that I got way back when. Happy Life, Vicky Boutin. And so this is fun. So this is a much more pleasing to my eye when I turn this over, and I have a lovely page with, of course, some little NicoleJones911 flowers. This is definitely an older page that I did. You can see here, this is open book, I think. Is this not Maggie Holmes' open book? I believe it is. Some lovely gold glittery letters here. San Marco, memories, some paper layering here that I love. Again, sort of that 1/3, getting the photos to bridge that 1/3, 2/3 line. So definitely a Chamel influenced layout here as well. So we arrived in Venice in early August and stayed in a lovely campground on the mainland at €50 a night. So that was really crazy, crazy reasonable. It was a little trailer. The water bus was quite fun, every hour on the hour. So basically from the campground that you can see here, that I showed you, right at this entrance right here, really literally across the street from there was the bus stop. So that is so cool. Okay. As much as I enjoyed the piazza and walking around the touristy area, the shops, the restaurants, the gondolas, and the bridges, it was the residential areas that I adored. You see, this is so busy, so many people, but of course it's still awfully lovely to go to and a beautiful memory. And that's just me sort of arms wide spread saying, look, just take this all in, this gorgeousness, me and all of these lovely people and pigeons. There you go. So that is that. And then, so that is all I have of San Marco. Now you see, now that I'm going through that with you, I seem to feel that I'm missing maybe a couple of the true residential areas. And I have a photo in mind. So, you never know, there might be one more layout because I do have a couple of photos and I really did think that I had scrapped them, sort of more little alleyways and some plants and really into the housing areas. And I was sure I had them in here. I'm going to have to search that out and I will come back and report. And then from Venice, went off to Bari because the intention was to go, before going to Rome, was to go from Bari, take the train down from Venice into Puglia and Bari, which is the larger city, and where all the ferries leave from. So this is on the Adriatic coast, to go over to Greece. And you can see here, dead end, that that didn't work. It was August, and every single day, so took the train, and in all honesty, was not intending on staying in Bari at all. So went straight from the train station to the ferry station. And as I say here, the only reason Bari was on the agenda was to get a ferry across to Greece, but it was August. So teamed up with some fellow travelers, a lovely Australian here, Chris, who's my lovely friend Chris from Australia that we met. So teamed up with some fellow travelers, and 3 days later, after daily lineups, we just gave up, and off to Rome instead. Met Chris from Australia and traveled together for a couple of weeks. So that was fun. That's always fun, where you meet some fellow travelers, and it was getting quite late in the evening, in fact, and I was still at that ferry station, didn't quite know where to go, met up with Chris and a couple of other fellow travelers, and then we said, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to stay here. Found a pensione and a cab, and I was very, very thankful to meet some travelers that I could be with, because it was getting a little bit late and I was getting a little bit uncomfortable, as I had no idea where to go. The tourist offices were closed, but I think if I remember correctly, we did find within the ferry station, we did find a reference that we were able to get into a pensione for the night, thinking that we would start over again the next day. Little did we know that it was going to be 3 days later. And as much as Bari is lovely, that really the only reason you would go there, unless I'm missing something, I don't know, Marta, Sabri, if any of you know something that I might have missed and I should have gone to see, because I don't recall really doing a lot of the touristy things, because I was just so focused on getting the ferry, which maybe is a shame. Anywhere, and then this one is, well, then where to now? So, you know, after 3 days, we gave up. Very, very bad photo. In fact, I scrapped it. This is not so long ago. This is something that I added after I started going through the album with you to get it set up. And I did this for the challenge. What was it? Tracy Reed put out a challenge this year. Was it Scrap Harder? Anyway, the very first challenge was Scrap a Bad Photo. Unfortunately, I didn't keep up with that challenge, and it was fun. But this is a very bad photo, and this is Chris and I looking at guidebooks to try and decide, well, then where to now. So Bari on the Adriatic coast is a well-known port city in Puglia in southern Italy. It is well known for awesome pasta and breads. That I do know, because we did eat beautifully. But the sole purpose of going was to get the ferry across to Greece to visit some of the smaller islands, Milos in particular. But it was August. So we met a great friend, Chris from Australia. And after several failed attempts, we then just decided to go on to Rome. So here we go, arriving in Rome. I will leave you here, and I will do Rome in part 2. Thanks for being with me, my friends. See you very, very, very soon.